Alright everybody, this is the 7th video, I believe. This should be the 5th part of notes. We've got some more notes ahead of us, but that's alright. It's the 7th video overall, but the 5th video for notes. Okay, so we're continuing on with our significant species series. This one is going to talk about umbrella species. So umbrella species, they're going to be species that, if protected, would protect many other species because of its large home range. Okay, so they're going to be big, have big home ranges, which allow for, if they were protected, it protects all of the land around them. All of the animals that are on that land as well are going to be protected with it. Okay, most of the time they're going to be top predators like panthers, or tigers, or grizzly bears. They have very large ranges, which allow for them to be great umbrella species. So if you protect the panther, like the Florida panther, for example, if you protect them, it's going to protect a lot of other species underneath them because they share the same home habitat and same range. Okay. Another one is going to be big species. Okay, just because obviously big species mean that they're going to have bigger ranges. Okay, a small frog is not going to move around as much as an elephant. But one species that comes to mind that is probably my favorite of these bigger species is going to be the bison. Okay, they're all really just amazing looking. They smell awful. They sound disgusting. They're just like giant, overgrown cows. But they're wonderful and stupid. I saw them last year with my trip to Montana for the first time. Got to see some bison. They were crossing in front of our car, which was one of the most nerve-wracking and scary things I've ever had to experience. It was right early in the morning. There was some fog we were passing through, and then these bison just slowly crossing the street. We were stopped for like maybe 30 minutes in the middle of this road waiting for bison to just travel through. It was crazy. Um, but anyway, an umbrella species, they're going to be very large animals or animals that have a large home range that will protect many other animals underneath them within the same area. Okay, this is an easy one. This is a pretty cool one. Okay, a charismatic species. So charismatic species, they have nothing to do with ecology at all. They have nothing to do about the science of them. They're just animals that elicit emotional feeling. Well, I'm getting kind of bumps just looking at these guys. They're really cute. Um, so they specifically, they're going to be used to elicit the emotion of donating or spending money for a specific cause. Okay. So if you look at the World Wildlife Foundation, their symbol is the panda. If you look at different climate relief funds, they're going to be using the polar bear or the seal. Okay, they're going to elicit a response to feel some emotion. Okay, examples: seals, tigers, polar bears, otters, panda, anything cute. If you can make a stuffed animal about it, it's a charismatic species. Okay, even if it's not like super cute as a baby, even if the adult's pretty cool, you can make a stuffed animal about it. That is a charismatic species. If you can make a cartoon about it, that's a charismatic species. Okay, they're pretty easy to spot. Okay, if you can feel some sort of emotion around them when they come up, that is going to be a charismatic species. A vulnerable species. Okay, vulnerable means a species especially vulnerable to extinction. Okay, they're more susceptible to extinction. Okay, so what we have here is we have the black-footed ferret and the bony-tailed chub. Um, so uh, vulnerable is a general term. Okay, I'm not a huge fan of the word vulnerable, especially when we talk about species that are vulnerable, because it's not very helpful because it's so general. So, like I said, we have the black-footed ferret and the bony-tailed chub. As scientists, what we can and should be doing is using more specific terms, okay, like endangered, threatened, those kind of things. But those words have different meanings, and they are very specific about what they mean. So we got to know what they specifically mean before we can really use them. So, what does endangered mean? Okay, so we have a whole bunch of animals in that little chart there. We're going to be looking at the chart. Okay, when we talk about endangered, what we're talking about is we're looking at its conservation status. Okay, so the conservation status of an animal is going to change based on the number of population. Okay, and it's going to range from least concern to extinct. Obviously, you can see that they're grouped up. There's least concern, threatened animals, and extinct. I'm not going to go through each of them. I'm going to hit 3 that are pretty big. Okay, and you can look up those ones. This is a standard form for each of the animals here, or for population and conservation status. Okay, so LC means least concern. Okay, anything that gets hunted or scientists aren't really cared about for endangerment, they're not going to be very concerned about. Okay, so anything that you can hunt is going to be part of that least concern. So moose, elk, humpback whale, surprisingly enough, is least concern. There's a lot of humpback whales apparently. I didn't think that, but apparently there are. Endangered, that's EN, so that's going to be the middle. So we went from least concerned to endangered. Okay, the list goes least concerned to nearly threatened to vulnerable to endangered. Okay, so endangered, these are going to be animals that we know have issues with population. So they have specific things that are affecting their population growth and leading to a population decline, whether that be habitat fragmentation or over hunting or over fishing. It's a number of different things that could be happening all at once, but their populations are decreasing and we're seeing it at a specific rate. Okay, things like the California condor, the chimpanzee, which is why the chimpanzee is up there. I know it's a little freaky looking, and the blue whale. They're all going to be endangered. Okay, they're all endangered for one reason or another. They're not all the same reason necessarily, but that's what EN means. And the last important one is EX. Okay, so from endangered we have critically endangered, which is even more severe. There's different criteria that critically endangered have than endangered. The EW is extinct in the wild, which means they're only in captivity, and then EX is completely extinct. There are no more living at all. Okay, so some examples we have in North America are going to be the dire wolf. Yes, they're not just from Game of Thrones. They are real things. They were real things because they're dead now. The mammoth, not around anymore. Be really cool, but they're not around anymore. And then the California grizzly bear, which is up here, which I think is crazy because the California grizzly bear, that's the state flag, is the California grizzly bear, and it no longer exists, which is, I guess, equivalent to putting like a dodo on a flag. But I thought that was an interesting one, is that this is a preserved model, preserved replica of one of the last grizzly bears, California grizzly bear. So anyway, danger. That's what the endangered, when we're talking about endangered, we're talking about what it means on this scale. Okay, and this is a pretty standardized scale, like I said. Pretty much everyone uses this. Some last ones, okay? Seaweed species, an economic species. They're going to be a species that affects positively or negatively local, regional, or national economies. Okay, so these species, they're going to have some economic value, whether that be, like it says, positive or negative. So in the bottom we have mule deer, one of my favorites. If you go hunting, very, very positive driver for the economy. Okay, specifically in Colorado, hunting and fishing supply a huge percentage of the economy within Colorado. You know, it creates a lot of interesting things and provides for a lot of jobs in Colorado. So we can't scoff at that. But a thing that negatively supports that, if you are a fisherman or a boater at all, you have heard of these before. These are these zebra mussels. They affect everything, and a lot of places are really worried about these because they just destroy everything. They'll destroy pipes and boats and all these different things. If I remember correctly, Highland Lake does not have zebra mussels, but Lake Powell, as of a couple years ago, was introduced through these. They're really regulated onto, you know, the boats inspections and all these things. You need to make sure all your equipment is checked and cleaned before you get into the water, because if you get in the water, it's going to spread like wildfire. So yeah, it's going to really affect how much or the economy in that area, because you're going to have fishermen that are needing to go out there, or these dams or lakes that are going to be not populated with boaters because now it has zebra mussels and everything in it. So those are the two examples I could think of off the top of my head. Those guys, but really, if you can hunt it, it's going to be a good economic one. If it destroys things, that's going to be an economic species. It's going to be negatively affecting it. So speaking of things that destroy, invasive species. Invasive species are a hot button issue, as it were. I'm not a fan of invasive species. You should not be a fan of invasive species. Invasive species are species that are, one, not native. They don't belong there. They're not from that area. And two, they, because they're not from that area, have very little to stop them from spreading and causing massive amounts of damage to the environments. Okay, so we have two right here. We have the lionfish and the tamarisk. Okay, tamarisk is local. Okay, and you should be very familiar. If you're not familiar with it, become very familiar with how that tree looks. Okay, it's got these nice, really cool purple or pink, more pink than purple, I guess. These pink flowers that bloom really kind of the earlier parts of spring or the earlier parts of summer. Really pretty. However, they're very not good at all. Okay, they will take over ecosystems, and if you look at anywhere around the river, you're pretty much going to see this in Russian olive. Okay, the lionfish, they have poisonous barbs, and they eat everything. They will eat a ton of fish, which will just destroy complete aquatic ecosystems. Very not good as well. Okay, so tamarisk, Russian olive, lionfish, very invasive, very not good. Okay, now this is different than introduced species, because introduced species can be very good. The difference is they're not native, but they're not harmful. Okay, they don't tend to spread or cause damage like other things, like invasive species. Okay, some examples of that: cattle. Okay, cows come from a very specific part of the world. They were introduced everywhere. Okay, everywhere humans have gone, we've brought cattle with us. Same thing with wheat. Wheat comes from the Fertile Crescent, the Mesopotamia, the Middle Eastern area. And as civilization has developed, we've spread it everywhere around the world. Everywhere makes wheat now. Okay, that's not how it was. They're introduced to these areas. That's what makes them so successful as agriculture. So anything that you could farm or create agriculture with, that's going to be an introduced species. So that's the end of that. If you have any questions about what I was talking about, or if you need any clarification, please let me know. This video is a little bit long. Sorry about that again. Did not mean for that to happen. But we're going to go through those as best as we can. So I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.